show here on the Rise News. I'm Rafah Yassini.
I am Adesua Omorwan.
And I'm Shaiton Atigari. Good morning.
Well, it's been 2 years since Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, presided over a government-private sector meeting on how to bring an end to the notorious traffic situation in Apapa. And prior to this time, significant achievements have been recorded.
Okay. More importantly is the directive by the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to all truck owners to leave the bridge leading to Apapa, as at this morning, the trucks are back on the bridge and traffic is beginning to return to the Apapa axis. So
joining us now for a review of the Apapa traffic situation is the team leader of the Presidential Committee on Clearing of the Apapa Port and Access Roads, Mr. Kayode Opeifa. It's always a joy having you, because you've been here constantly, and sorry about your bereavement. It is well.
Thank you.
But let's quickly go straight to it. What is the situation of things now? Because it's, every time we come here, it's always you're worried against us. But we want you to brief us and debrief us fully. Because some will say Apapa.
Like we said in the beginning, we recorded tremendous success, and in the last 1 month, less than 1 month, we noticed some setbacks, which are what you can see, and I love that clip. And if you look at 28th of October, it was all, in the morning, all this will be clean. But this started, 3 things happened. Around October, I think that was October 24th, there was an attack on Lily Pond Transit Truck Park, and that is a fulcrum of the solution to the issues. I mean, I want part of the solution. It was attacked by hoodlums in retaliation of arrest by the Lagos State Task Force, and they burned down the security post of Lily Pond. They damaged all vehicles, private vehicles inside the compound, and they burned down 2 vehicles belonging to MPA. That was a setback on the Apapa axis. On the picture showing the Apapa axis, between Lagos State government and DPR, some tank farms were shut down in the Abule Ado Ijegun area. And you know what it is. If you are loading 600 trucks, they still want to load 600 trucks. So apparently NNPC or PPMC diverted the products to the Apapa axis. And there was like a 2-3 times number of trucks invading. And you can see, you have more of tankers. Ordinarily, the tankers were not giving us issues. These are unforeseen situations, and there are also the corruption fightbacks. People thought, could this be real? Could this be real? It can't be real. Let's see if we can do something. And all these accumulated in the last 3 weeks, we have the setbacks. And the good news is that the picture is looking better again. I tried to look at the picture from 17th to this morning, and I can see that the tankers are reducing. However, the greatest challenge is the tanker drivers, the tanker unions, and NNPC itself. You will expect that once something like this is about to happen, proactively they will make a statement that this is happening, people should expect.
NNPC never made any statement?
We've been talking to them. I've spoken to so many people. I understand the GMD2 is going to visit the place today. And, for us, making a statement could create panic that there's actually no fuel scarcity because they still pump the same amount. So we met seriously, severally with the tanker drivers and their national leadership, the Southwest leadership, pleading with them, talk to your drivers to come 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., that everybody will still be loaded, which is the reason why you have the problem in the first place. People no longer trust the system that it can work. And once there is a hiccup or something, it's like you see traffic and people just face one way rather than hoping that somebody is going to do it. Until Saturday, they didn't even budge. Until Saturday, that it started affecting their own personal trucks. We sat down. We now met on Monday in their office, and I went to the office. And they now agreed they will start moving at 10 to 5 p.m. And by the time you got to the road on Monday, it looks like they are obeying. But more importantly, what I noticed is that it is because they have now reopened those
tank farms.
That's why it didn't seem more. It was more than that. As at last week, the whole area up to Sele was filled with the tankers. This morning at Ijora, you still have the tankers in quite a huge number. And what they do is when they are there, they block the road. Once they block the road, the trucks that are going to the transit park to go and park to move, they see that they cannot move. Everybody just lose control, believing that the thing had collapsed. But if there had been a statement from
NNPC.
the NNPC. This is happening, and the situation will normalize people in this area. We could also make the statement, but rather than make it public and not create fear, what we did was to start talking. I spoke with the CEO downstream. I spoke with the ED commercial. I couldn't get across to the MD, PPMC. I spoke with the former MD, and everybody, I noticed they were also seriously finding a way out. But I believe somebody should have spoken up. Maybe today, the GMD is visiting the site.
Let's talk about the Lily Pond Transit Park, because that is very crucial. Why is it so difficult to enforce law and order at Lily Pond? There are even repeated allegations about truck drivers circumventing the arrangement in place for Lily Pond Park.
Yeah, you're correct.
Why is it so difficult?
It shouldn't be difficult, and I don't think it's actually that difficult. But what you have is this. We are not supposed to have stayed for this long.
Okay.
If our plan is to stay 1 to 2 months, after 2 months, a sustainable plan, we should always get things kicked up immediately. And that was when I started shouting that the media should help us. Rather than reporting infractions, let's start talking about how to sustain the little or the observed successes. If you read the executive presidential directive, it says LASMA to take charge of traffic management, because that's a state responsibility.
Yes.
He gave directive to every heads of agencies. So what we did, immediately after 2 months, we started making the issue. Please, let the stakeholders come and take ownership. Who are the stakeholders? The federal government, the state government, NPA, NNPC, PPMC, Shippers Council, the Truckers Association, before it comes to the residents. The residents are the one bearing the bulk of the pain and all other consumers. So when you take ownership, is to understand the system and raise issues directly, not when you are in traffic. Then you realize there is an issue. The day the road is free, shout that people should sustain it. The day you are in traffic, criticize that, mention you are in traffic. Then when you see those, okay, I think that was this showing an older, this is about 10 days ago.
Okay.
So that was when the whole thing started, but the one you showed earlier showed the thing as a gradual improvement. So what we hope, and who are the stakeholders now? Let's talk of Lily Pond.
Yes.
Lily Pond is responsibility of MPA. But when you now burn their facility, normally it will take about a week or 2 before they get back to the same. But before it got burned, the corruption fight backs have started organizing protests, trying to discredit the system. Because, some people are losing resources because the system is working. For too long, for over 4 years or 2 years, they've been enjoying this like this. They don't invest anything. All they do is, they call them movers.
Okay.
Movers. All they do is to help you move your truck, and they tell you they can be in between you, the security agent, and anybody disturbing you, and they will move for you and collect like 50,000 naira. Those guys, the business got out of tune. So they have to fight back. They were sponsoring protests against the operation of Lily Pond. Then the fire came. That was a setback. And I believe within the next 1 week, somebody just sent me a message now that we need to talk to ourselves and get that place back fully. If Lily Pond doesn't come back fully, minus the tanker, you will see problems because people will lose confidence in the entire system. So whatever we have gained over time may just filter off. Like last night, I saw trucks on the Coop bridge, branded trucks at night. These are companies that should come at 12. I don't want to mention their name. I saw them at 8:30, and I called them. And one of them had the gut to reply me. And I said, you know what happened in the last 2 weeks? There are so many tankers. I said, what? Corporate organization. You are giving an excuse of...
Why did you take them to task?
So why don't you report it or just wait for your thought? And you are a corporate, you can't just break the law. So that's the nature of our system which we need to correct. And one of the reasons why, before I came here, I told you it was going to be difficult. I've been to Ijora this morning at 6:30. And I can see that the tankers are still, they are not in big quantity. I can see that they are occupying 3 lanes. So we got them to 1 lane just to stay there until 10. And we were able to create. So that means the thing can be done. It's just that a lot of us just believe in this disorderly thing. So the more important is for LASMA and all agencies of Lagos State government will take it over. NPA, NNPC, PPMC must never allow us go back to the... So while the other mid-term and long-term solution like the Minister for Transport has been working on the rail, while NNPC, PPMC keep perfecting the moving fuel through the, what they call it, the pipelines, and while everybody keeps doing whatever, while the ease of doing business keeps doing what they want to do. So we just need to sustain this short-term effect that has what it has. We have proved that it is possible. It is not magic. So we just need to sustain it.
How long do you think that you'll be there, sorry, Sheto? Because, I mean, it's not the first time we are having presidential directive on Apapa gridlock, and a lot of people doubted that this will make any difference. And now we are beginning to see that, you know, you have said it's not rocket science, it can be done. It can be done, however, there's a relapse. There's always a relapse, and that's the case. How long do you think we can have your team, for instance, in place before these other agencies take up the task?
Let me make a confession here. I strongly believe it has been done, and what we need to do is to move to the sustainability phase. Now, how long? The agency to do that is LASMA, number one, to move on to the road. You know what they have gone through? So the governor of Lagos State has, you know, they have a new GM now. You now have a commissioner in place. You now have a new permanent secretary in place. And the governor, on this very first day in office, he made an executive order and he visited Apapa immediately after the executive order. So LASMA is undergoing, let me call it restructuring and reorganization. And that is why we are staying extra time. We are working with LASMA so that they can fully take effect. Now, the second thing that will happen is all the operational orders we have created. Agencies should just sit down, take it and turn it to their own operational procedures. Don't go back to what you were doing before that led you. The third thing is the federal government should continue to do what it's doing that is working. And what is doing that is working is don't listen to those who are telling you that it cannot be done. Since they are telling, people will be telling it will soon fail. It will soon fail. It will soon fail.
No, but you can't blame those people because we have seen over the years, this is not the first presidential task force on Apapa that will start.
So do you realize I was a former commissioner in Lagos?
A glowing start. And
sorry, I was a former special advisor.
I know.
4 years. I was commissioner 8 years. I left office with Governor Fashola. We left office May 28th. This thing was not there. So we are talking of tax forces. That was during the last 4 years.
Yes.
It wasn't there. So it wasn't as if this thing was never normalized before. I just wanted to take you back in history. Then the last 4 years, I don't want us to go into the issues that there were lapses. A LASMA personnel was stoned to death in broad daylight, and gradually traffic management left Apapa. That period allowed for a vacuum. That vacuum is the degeneration of 4 years that we are managing now. So why I said this is just to go back in time. It wasn't as if it's been there for like, but there has been issues in Apapa for many years. After the concessioning, the open bay, I think you know the story. Lily Pond was eventually turned back. Somebody just took Lily Pond and locked it up for almost 10 years, doing nothing. Then you have the terminal operators. I don't want to go into those stakeholders now, who are not operating normal. That is for MPA to manage. Then you have customs still checking by using hand, not using scanner. You still have the issues in the port. Then you have shipping companies who are supposed to collect these containers. The individuals taking containers are not supposed to. They are supposed to take it to the shipping companies. They are not collecting it. Then they are charging demurrage. So that's why those individuals are desperate to turn. So those are issues in the next stage that the government will be addressing.
We'll come back after this break and we'll talk more about this. We still have Kayode Opeifa, the leader of the Presidential Committee on Clearing of the Apapa Port and Access Road. So we'll be right back after this quick break. We'll talk to you.
Well, welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. We still have with us Mr. Kayode Opeifa talking about the Apapa gridlock, the update, and what to look forward to.
Any Shaitan is blazing with questions and, you know, in the interrogation. So, Shaitan.
I mean, I just wanted to find out, you know, you had spoken about the customs, because we do know that there are two ports in Apapa, the seaport and, of course, Tinkan. And I'm very aware that one of the biggest challenges that we face is actually the clearing, the manual processing of imports coming in through Tinkan Island. Most of those truckers, they want to turn their Apapa roads into their personal parking lots because they are waiting for all their imports to come out. Is there anything being done in partnership with the customs and immigration services to make sure that these processes are smoother? You said it, they still do manual scanning, and we know that about 600 tankers come in every day through those seaports. That's a huge amount to go through, and these people have to wait for their load to come out.
I believe the MPA is relating with the customs. We don't relate with customs really. We relate with, even though they're a major stakeholder, but it's more of port operations. So we try as much as possible to stay out of port operation. Where they affect issue is for flatbeds, not the empty containers coming into peak. And also, you know, that business also involves a lot of middlemen. Somebody hire you, you hire somebody before you get the custom. But I know between MPA and customs, they're working on how best to handle the issue. But the more challenge to the custom also on their own side is they call it overtime cargoes. There are so many cargoes in the port that 2, 3, 4 years, and you just see them stack up there. So ordinarily what you will expect is if a truck is coming to take consignment, you should be able to drive into the port and have a space to park. There's no space. If you go to, there's no space to park. So they use the transit park. He leaves the transit park. He gets to the port. He's on the road. He's from the road inside the port that he gets to the terminal. That should have been a place for him to park and move. That's where the issue of customs and space comes about. But beyond that, we don't deal with customs. We deal with the roads. And what we have been able to do, regardless of that issue, we are expected to create a system that still doesn't keep the truck. But let me say this, the trucks are no longer on the road stationary. If you look the picture in the morning, you can see a clean road as at 7 a.m., 6 a.m., filled up with cars. And you look the picture in the afternoon, you see the picture is trucks and cars. That tells you the trucks were not there in the morning. So they won't stay there more than 24 hours. But the more important thing on the walkthrough to tell you is that there are now more cars on that road than trucks. But in recent time, that's what worries me. I started seeing trucks on the road on their way to the port from Lilliput, spending more than 1 day. That shouldn't happen. If there are trucks on the road all day, but they are moving to the port, that shows there is a good economy. So the worries for us is the trucks, if the trucks don't move, then that's an issue. And we have that issue in the last 10 to, let me say, 20 days, which we are working.
What's the biggest challenge that you are facing right now in clearing that Apapa gridlock? Because I know you said it.
For me, we have cleared it.
I was in traffic on Saturday. I was
in traffic on the road.
I went to run an errand in Surulere. It took me almost 2 hours, 30 minutes to get from Surulere back to the island. So what's your biggest challenge facing the Apapa gridlock right now?
Sorry, I agree with you that there are issues the last 10, 20 days. But you will have also agree that 20 days back, you don't have that issue. And I've just told you there was an invasion of Lagos, of Apapa side by tankers. That's one. 2, so what do we do that even if there is an invasion, I believe that's your question, that this thing shouldn't show? One is discipline. All agency of government who need to manage traffic should be on their toes. And we should use communication. We should let citizens know what are the issues so that they can cope. Like you're going to Ibadan now. I know it used to take 2 hours. If I'm going to Ibadan, I'm going to add 1 extra hour because there were enough notice that there is a road construction. So by this time, after that invasion, we shouldn't be having this problem. I agree with you. And that is why we are doubling our effort. And we are appealing to all stakeholders to understand our issues. And those issues have to be handled and solved by everybody. And I'm happy the GMD himself is in Lagos. The COO was in Lagos on Friday, Saturday. The governor of Lagos State is also on top, discussing with DPR and NNPC. Okay. The reason for the shutdown was also as a result of making lives better for the people. So what we saw was a consequence, which everybody has rallied around. So I want to plead on this media, not for people to bear with us. It's for the stakeholders to take ownership and ensure even if there is this short shock, it shouldn't be that much to have caused you to spend 2 hours on a single day. I also went through the same day. But on that same day, you spent 2 hours. I spent almost 1.5 or 2 hours from Federal Palace Hotel to Eco Hotel.
I mean, the traffic can be that crazy. Let's talk about the politics of call-up systems, okay, because that's a very integral issue. We all know that one of the fundamental parts of all of this is the call-up system. In fact, I have had friends that have tried to develop a certain app for the call-up system, but there's a lot of shutdown and bureaucracy, and it's part of your mandates. How has that journey been? Sorry,
our mandate is to develop a manual system pending the introduction of electronic call-up system by MPA. Because I understand there is one in procurement process, and we are told it to take off September 1. So we are supposed to put up a manual system.
Has it taken off now? This is November.
1 second. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it has taken off.
Okay.
But I know some of the terminal operators have introduced this. APMT had introduced its own, they have automated their own call-up system. And just like you said, I also have friends that I've spoken to Apapa. By the way, maybe just for people to understand what is call-up, Uber is nothing but call-up system. It is that simple. Uber is nothing but a call-up system. So what we are saying is that you don't need to call. So what did we do in our own manual? We've done a script agreed to by all stakeholders. It's just meant for the MPA and all other stakeholders to implement it. That's what our mandate says. Is that call-up starts from the terminal operator. I have your container, and you come and take it and tell MPA, and you communicate with MPA. I have a container. The terminal operator says I should come and take it. I want to take it. The MPA gives you a call-up, and you go and take it. But because there is no transit pack, and Lilipond has now been introduced as the original design for Lilipond since 1973. Yeah. So we now say, go to nominated park. Go and put your truck in a nominated park. As not everybody has a park. That is big. So from the nominated park, MP will call you into the transit park. From the transit park, you move into the port. That was the system we ran for 2 months, and it ran perfectly. But you have people who want to change the system. They call them the movers. Those are people I'm referring to as the corruption fighters.
Are they the shakers too?
Whatever they are. So those are the people trying to circumvent us, and there is no way out. You must operate a column. It must be electronic in these days. Because as much as you have personal contact, regardless of what we develop or what you are to operate, once it is manual, there is contact. So somebody will come and beg me, EBC, can I move 10 trucks? You know, all I need to tell him is that go online, apply, and queue, and go. Even if I want to help you, I cannot help you because I will have to tinker with the queue system. But with the manual we introduced, we made it to be tight that you have to apply in writing. They give you an approval. You move into that Lilipond. You sign out. That's what we design. You go. Then the stakeholder itself, the owner of the product, must not develop his own operating procedure. We have moved the manufacturing trucks to midnight. Those are the Dangote, Boa, Standard Flour Mills, Nigerian Flour Mills, and all those big companies. And you know, within 3 hours, they can move. But they also have issues with their drivers. So when they are coming, they're supposed to arrive 11. You see them on the road at 9. So Dangote audaciously secured parks around here. So when these trucks come too early, it parks. The others don't have that facility. They want to hang around. So we met with them, we resolved their competition, infighting, and we're able to adhere. So if they do that, and they are calling, that tells you, you can do it during the day. That's about 500 trucks. But what you have is the movers are still snipping around, convincing them that that process is too long. It takes 1 day, 2 days, 3 days to complete. I can get it done for you in 1 day. So the media now took it up and said, tax team corrupt, collecting money. That was a fake news. We tried to debunk it, but don't forget those guys have more money than you. So it has already spread. The moment that news came out, that night we got over 200 trucks on the bridge begging us to come and take money. Now, why are you not taking my money? Well, now you are taking money now. I'm ready to pay you more. That's the nature of that business. So that took us 2 weeks to ward off that we are not here to collect money. So that's why when I behave somehow hard, I said, media, please don't encourage, don't spread their news for them. Because what they know is that make the system discredit the system, and then take advantage of it. But believe me, I believe the federal government is coming up. There was a press conference yesterday by another group talking on this issue of demurrage. That issue has to be addressed.
Let's talk about demurrage. You know, let's talk about it in detail, because there's a big racketeering system to going on with demurrage, and it gives a haulback. Let's talk about it.
So, regardless of, until we go electronic, some things may not completely be eliminated. But the demurrage issue that's what causes the madness in the, if I can use that word, I'm very sorry for it. I mean, the rush, let me change it. The rush that people want to drop. I have ordered my goods from anywhere, China, South Korea, or Chicago, or whatever. My container had arrived. I have been called to come and pick my container. And from the day I'm being called, I start paying demurrage, maybe after 1 day or 2. And I cannot get into the port. And I'm going with my flight. You know, I will rush. That's number one. Now, assume I eventually pick my stuff. I don't even pay any demurrage. Or maybe I paid for only 1 day. I now want to return the container. So the federal government, through PEBEC, had sat down with all this, and I've increased the time lag from, I think, 5 or so to 12. They have made it longer. We are proposing something much more longer. Now, the moment I finish that period, I've discharged my goods in Kaduna. You know, I have to travel down to Kaduna. Then I will have to bring the container back to Lagos. As soon as it clicks day 8, I have made a deposit of 300,000 naira for the container if I don't return it. And they start taking demurrage. I think one is 15,000 for a small container. The big one is about 20,000, the 40 foot. So, and I want to return it. Where should I return it? It's the company. I got to the company and said there is no space. That I should take it to the port. Yet my demurrage is counted. My demurrage is supposed to end the day I get to the... So we need to stop that demurrage at that point. So if that is not stopped, then I will get agitated. I want to get my container down to the port. So if that demurrage is not stopped, if it is not stopped, you will still see the urge
okay,
to do the system.
We'll have to go on a quick break again, and we'll be right back to discuss some more. The way forward, possibly. Join us again after.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still joined in the studio by the leader of the Presidential Committee on Clearing of the Apapa Ports and Access Roads. Now, I want to quickly talk about the damage to infrastructure, because, you know, we're talking about all the problems, you know, that you're facing, the challenges and the solutions. However, because of the current state of these roads, we know that there's been a high rise in, you know, thieving and, you know, breaking into cars, looting at night, and even to residents in that area. So what's being done to make sure that while, you know, the committee is trying to clear those roads, working with the MP and the NNPC and the stakeholders, that thugs and criminals are not taking advantage of the problems that are being faced? As we enter the Ember month, it's becoming increasingly bad for the people that have to tow those roads.
I would say on the issue of security, I think the police will have to handle that. On the issue of the infrastructure, let me say, because I've been on this matter based on my previous responsibility, to inform you that there are 5 major roads involved. 1 is completed. 3 are under reconstruction, awarded. The 4th, now let me say the one completed is Wharf Road, Apapa, completed by Dangote Group on CSR. Creek Road is the second one, is under construction, awarded, and is under construction. I'm sure they will have gone at like 30 to 40% done. That's what you have this day. You have Apapa the Express Road. That is from Port, Apapa, from Tinkan Port down to Oworochoki, if not the toll gate, is also under construction. You will have seen that the Solo and the rest is ongoing. Those are good news. The 4th road is the Badagry Express Road from Igomu to Maitu. That one, there is no problem on that road. So luckily for us, the infrastructure decay is now being regenerated. However, that is also adding to the current situation in terms of movement, because Creek Road is, sorry, I didn't mention Liverpool Road is also under construction. The drainage is completed by ITEC working for Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. So that's the good news as part as the road infrastructure. The other infrastructures are the one inside the port. I won't want to talk about that. That is port official. Now to the residents. The damage to the residents is not the roads any longer. It's by the time spent. It's the money spent. It's their health and the fact that they may not be able to plan perfectly. But the good news I'm saying is that 4, 5, 6 months ago, it wasn't this good. Though the last few days, less than 30 days ago, we had some going back, but it has not gotten back to what it was before then. So to assure them that that's our response, until the time the sustainability team kicks in, we will ensure that we get back to where we are about 15 days ago.
Let's talk about the port's congestion. Even that, I know that is not part of your mandate. I wonder how much of an impact it's having on what you're doing, what your team is doing. Also, we do know the federal government decided to close the land borders months now, asking everybody to go to the ports. How much of an impact is that having on, clearing this chaos in Apapa at the moment? Does it have any impact? Have you noticed any impact?
You know my style. When I hear the word chaos, I fly. I wanted to jump out. I don't think this situation is chaotic. It's not a chaotic situation, but different people, different description. To some, it's extremely chaotic. Okay. It depends on how the thing affects. For me, because maybe I'm in that transportation field. Now, we are in December. Ordinarily, border closure or no border closure, there will be pressure at the port. We've received information that the terminals now need more of the flatbeds to quickly empty the car. But there is a rule, we are told. I don't want to delve into port operation, but let me say this. You must take 80% of empty containers or whatever you discharge. If that is done, it will not have a negative impact on the road. But if that is not done, and the shipping lines are not keeping their holding base, and the issue of demurrage penalty is still on, it will have effect on the road. That's how bad it is. And these are all known to the federal government. These are, when a committee was put up, there was a presidential team that met, even though your startup says 2 years ago. The meeting was sometimes in April, not April 2019. The 2017 was during the fuel. Anytime you have fuel crisis, you will have this, you will have problem of movement. That one is understandable. But the 2 years when the VP was during the fuel crisis, and I wish to say, since that 2017 to 2018 crisis, we've not had any fuel crisis. I think it delivered. The federal government delivered on that. What we have now is not really a fuel crisis, but a situation where you have to preserve lives and properties of residents of that neighborhood. So for us, we expect to see more cargo. And what it means is that everybody must be prepared. I believe if the system we put in place that has worked is respected by all, we can undo the
Real quickly, before we go to a break, can the silver bullet be the use of badges to stop this demurrage problem?
Can the what?
Silver bullet be the use of badges to stop this demurrage problem? Because Lagos has a lot of waterways. And the use of badges too.
You know, that's good news. We now move more containers with badges than you can imagine. They are moving, and they also have their own issues. The truck has to take it to the terminal. So they move from I2. They also move from Kirikiri. So, unfortunately, the tankers are on the same route. The road is under construction. So those trucks going to the terminal to move the badges to have issues. But the good news is that we are now moving heavily by badges. By badges. And we could do more if access roads to those terminals are pipe. But for Kirikiri now, the more trucks that go into the badges area, the more some of your colleagues can get to their office.
Because that's also a business ecosystem. We've never explored that.
No, it's on already. It's on.
But using badges now, maybe those movers can become badge operators.
Yeah, but the issue is still you still need the road to get to the. The waterfront is not all over. It's just like a curve. So you still need to get to. But they are doing it every now.
You once sent me a video of containers being moved with rail. Yeah. What's the vibe? How many tons? How many containers are being moved on rail?
That route is there, but the issue now is the wagon to move it. And
not enough wagons.
I'm privileged to know that NRC, Nigeria Railway, and the Ministry of Transportation is working hard. They are working hard to get more wagons to move more of those things. And don't also forget that the minister went on that trip recently where they are building the new standard gauge that will take it there. And I think we're having a date like something like February. Let's look forward to that. That will also ease the pressure on the road. You need the multimodal system, the water, the road, and you know the rail will move more because they will just attach 100. If the port can take 600 a day, that means the stuff has to move like 3 times in a day, and we evacuate almost 50%. And I think that is also on course. And like I said, ours is just one part of a many solution. Pepe Presidential Enabling Council on business environment is coordinating all this together.
I mean, because if the rail come in full swing, it will even reduce the pressure from the trucks.
Yes, the rail has the capacity because it goes to Ibadan, it goes to
all over the world.
It goes to so many places.
Rail is being used to move petrol trucks and the rest, and the likes.
We need all the multimodal system to and they're already in the eventual. In addition to another seaport at Lekki, another one in Badagry, and making the eastern port to whatever to make them operate.
Well, plans in the future. Yeah. But let me just ask, because I'm sure people are curious. We've talked about saboteurs. They exist in trying to fix Apapa. You've talked about those referred to as movers. Is your committee backed by, I don't know, some security forces? For instance, because if you do not have deterrence in place, then this will likely continue. So you keep fixing the work, and then the saboteurs keep relapsing what you have, eroding what you have done.
We have a complement of police with us, headed by Commissioner.
So are they being arrested? Are these movers invisible? Are they untouchable?
I believe we have a case of prosecution. We have eradicated them. Like I said, one of our mandates is to remove the prospect of extortion. We have, that's when they thrive. So we've removed that greatly. But what you see is they are also developing that. So the moment they heard that, they came up with style and started putting information that now you can pay money, you can pay money. So the people who have containers started approaching them. But the key issue is the lily pond and then the communication. We need to let the people know you can't move 1,000 trucks to a port that is designed currently operating to take 600. 600. You can't move. So the call-up system, like we'll be saying, will limit you only to 600. And you cannot go beyond 600. So when you make first attempt, second attempt, then you will give up. So that's what we are saying, that allow the call-up, manual call-up system that is tight enough currently on ground to operate, pending the introduction of the electronic call-up, which is a much more transparent system. A manual call-up, somebody will still make game. Somebody will drop the ball. Agreed. But that is all we can operate in the interim. Like you said, there are people who are developing apps. But once one is in procurement, the way the system works, financial regulation works, you cannot just buy off the shelf. But you can introduce something that is semi-electronic. Just let people apply without seeing you through your email or your website. They apply, and your officer at the back room do something. Our job is to develop one. We have developed one. Okay. Believe me, it works. We used it for 2 months, and that was complete.
I mean, you can even use something like a Google form. Just get the details.
I don't want to delve into the main operation. I'll give you a copy of what we designed. You must publicize to the people, this is the procedure now. You cannot do this, you cannot do this, this is what you should do. Then you now have to say, this person generates this vehicle is going to move it, tie the vehicle at your back end using a small computer with Excel spreadsheets. You tie everybody together, then you send him an SMS. Come in at between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. And everybody knows it's coming between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. They prepare, wait for him. And I can assure you, we're already talking back. The system that we have operated that has worked before this burning of lily pond, this hiccup, they must allow it to work. Once they allow that system to work, I have no doubt. We have run this thing for 5 months now. We have seen 3 good months of perfect running, and it should allow it to run.
Okay. Well, we'd like to say a big thank you to you.
We wish you the best.
It's always a joy having you to talk to us and keep us up to speed with this. And I mean, we learned a lot from your conversation today. I mean, it wasn't like the first days when we went back and forth at each other.
Look at my balls.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kayode Opeifa, for coming.